Hey everyone, it's Justin here, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching or listening here in the United States or across 90 countries and pushing 900 cities across the world. We're grateful. We're over 350 episodes going strong. And again, for those who aren't aware that this show, this organization, I founded after my mental health crash in November of 2017 and wanted to not only be able to share my voice, but share the voice and the stories of others. And we have this huge goal, and we still have it. And we're going to keep going down the road of trying to help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. It's a huge, lofty goal, but with your help and your support, if you can smash that subscribe button, if you can give us a big thumbs up, like, follow, share, all those free things to do really help us get towards that goal of helping 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. Speaking about beyond, I'm beyond, and we're beyond uh, honored to have uh, the guest that we do today and excited to get into the conversation. I'm going to just give a little bit of a bio. So, you have an idea, uh, and we will introduce her and have a great, as she mentioned in one of her texts, everybody's got skeletons in the closet. We all do. So whether we think we do or we don't, I do. I've had skeletons in the closet and kind of worked through as many of those as I can in 2017. But as we know, life, nobody's perfect. So I'm going to hop into introducing our guest. Our guest is a retired American figure skater. She is just from a accomplishment standpoint, just amazing from the U.S. championships to the World Championships to competing in the Olympics in figure skating. It's just an incredible the amount of time that she mentions, early mornings, late evenings, going through. Addiction, which I re relate to as our diehard Voices for Voices of listeners or viewers know. And we're just excited because not only uh, is that her background, but this is what I am also excited and we're excited to share. So I'm going to actually share my screen so we can all see her book. Her book is out on Amazon and paperback, electronic version, as well as hardback on Barnes and Noble. So I am going to try to share. Okay, let's see if this actually works. Okay. So let me see if I can move this. So hopefully you're seeing, if you're watching and if you're listening, you want to head on over again to Amazon .com. You want to type in Bobek, Bobek, uh, and that is followed by the wild one. And so our guest is Nicole Bobek, and I'm gonna just as we get into the introduction, get a little bit more of a proper introduction. I'm just gonna quote a little bit of what's listed for the description of her book. But before I do that, I just want to mention that her book is a number one new release in ice skating and figure skating, and that's a huge honor to get. And just again, So grateful that she's joining us today. So I'm gonna quote a little bit of the description, and then we're gonna talk to Nicole Bobek, which is just amazing. So quoting the description, she was the wild child of figure skating, graceful, rebellious, unforgettable. This is her story in her own words. Nicole didn't just skate, she soared, spiraled, and crashed in ways the world could never look away from. With a ponytail flying and a wink to judges, she captivated audiences in the 1990s, redefining what it meant to be a figure skater. But behind the sequins and spotlight was a girl fighting battles far from the ice. Battles with identity, expectations, addiction, and the crushing pressure to be perfect in a sport that demands nothing less. And then lastly here, told in her unmistakable voice. And so that obviously gets us to a little bit of why we wanted to have her on the show, because she's raw, authentic, as well as I was looking through her uh, some of her posts on Instagram, and the here we go. Here we go. Hold up. Just pulled up. Okay. Uh, let's see here. Where's the one here? Okay. 1995. So I was 14 years old at the time. I was born in 1981. And in Nicole's Instagram account, and this is just incredible. In 1995 and still today, and so does it speaking in her voice. I'm the only figure skater who got a two-page spread in Vogue magazine. And no, not advertising for a company or a clothing line, strictly for being who I am and was. And then obviously want you to go out to Amazon, get her book, whether it's electronic, paperback, or get the hardback copy at Barnes and Noble. And and so this post mentioning being that two-page spread in Vogue magazine, that is also another reason we wanted to have her on, because again, to her post, she wasn't representing a particular product or service. That it was just her being herself. And I think a lot of us, and I'm speaking for myself at least, we can get caught up in the uh, we're not worthy, we're not enough. And that right there is just another reason that not only is she worthy and enough, but we are too. So that long introduction, we are bringing Nicole Bobek to our show. And thank you, Nicole, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Maybe you can start a little bit about that figure skating career at the beginning, and the work and the intensity that goes into trying to be as perfect as you can from a young age, and then how you grew up, and then we can get into the almost just like a timeline of life, I guess.
Sure.
And then we'll finish with the book and how people can find it and all those great things. So the floor is yours.
Laura's mine. Well, I started skating at 3. I was a very active child. My mom had to put me in something. I was doing gymnastics, ballet, swimming, all the things the kids, pretty much do. And skating just came very natural for me. There was definitely a talent there the first time I stepped on the ice. And it was like, there was something that resonated in me like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do, even at that young of an age. And, as things progressed, as I got older, we got into competitions. I grew up in Chicago. I still consider myself a Chicagoan, even though I left when I was 10. Go Blackhawks. And and we moved from state to state. We moved out of the country. these are the sacrifices that really go into the sport to really move forward. It was getting lessons from the best people, working out the best programs, and also creating an art out there on the ice combined with sportsmen kind of real physical hard work on the body. And I say that because my body is so sore today. So it comes fresh into my mind. I am 48 now, so it is getting harder. But all these things are really part of something when you commit to really anything specific, playing an instrument, or if you're doing ballet, there are sacrifices that go along with how much are you willing to succeed and what are you going to give up so you can move forward.
Yeah, and I think with today's fast-paced life of uh, everything or a lot of things in the palm of our hand, that we're impatient and want things to happen fast. And so to see the results as you started to skate and as you mentioned, being kind of a natural, um, I I use analogies about just certain people that they're just meant to be who they are. We're all meant to be who we are, but from like whether that's a sport, whether that's an actor, an actress, that
Mhm.
there's some of us, a lot of us, who are just meant to do certain things, whether that's a certain body fit, whether that's a certain mindset, to be able to memorize lines to shows or movies. And I think that's a big thing for people to understand, that if you're a natural and you find yourself coming back to that, and then that means that that's something that you're good at, and then you just have to kind of decide, is that the path you want to continue to go down,
Mhm.
or try something different. And the great thing is there's no wrong answer, because it's you living your life how you feel, and the only people to know how we feel is ourselves. So whether we have a huge smile on our face, whether it looks like we're having a lot of fun, or for me with my mental illnesses, medications and stuff, people go, you say you're excited about this, but you don't have this huge bubbly like excited face. And I think that's something that I'm battling through. So to know that, like you said, once you stepped on, it was just a natural thing. Uh and that's something to just to think about. Now, so as far as, let's say, practicing, what does all that entail? Because from an outsider like myself, watching watching you and other skaters on the TV or YouTube, uh, it we just see, a couple minutes of a
Mhm.
performance, and you're not the lead up into that. What wasn't just, 2 or 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, the fact in figure skating that we have two programs. We have a short program and we have a long program. In the short program, we have required elements, and in the long program, quote unquote, is called the free skate, where it's when I skated, now it's a little bit different. It's a point system, but the free skate when I skated was basically everything that you could do, you put it in that program. And those programs, short program is 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And that can make or break you. You miss an element, you don't get a do-over.
Mm.
So it's very hard. And then also the long program is 4 minutes, 10 seconds. So it's like we work, almost a whole year for that limited amount of time. And I do have to say, this is where it gets very psychological with skating because I've gone to competitions so prepared and completely bombed. And I've gone to competitions where I really wasn't prepared, but I pulled it off. Really, that adrenaline of that moment and what you're not only you have your muscle memory,
Mm.
that's always there because rigorously trained. I mean, it is a committed sport, like any sport. If you either, jump in the pool or you don't jump in the pool, you know what I mean? So you commit so much to it. And then mentally, to bring it all down to that one moment of hitting the elements or completely falling all over the ice is so much. And every skater, I do believe, has some kind of a different tactic that they play in their mind. Some are very just automatic. You can see it's like muscle memory. It's like just another run through. The pressure doesn't phase them at all. And then there are others that are incredibly emotionally involved. That's why we get upset when we don't succeed at something because we are human. We do have feelings. And, if you don't, well, wow. But
Right.
you blow the season because you had a bad skate, and it is like this flood of uh I didn't do good enough. I let my fans, my family, my coaches, the association, I let all these people down. I fell on my butt during the program in front of 6,000 people, not to mention the 20,000 watching live on TV. It's like, what? It's a very difficult thing. I think skating is such a really amazing sport because we have the athleticism of the jumps and the training, and we're also combining it with artistry from ballet and skating to the music and being theatrical, loving what we're skating out there, beautiful costumes, and still trying to land triple jumps. It's mind-blowing when you really think about it. And we're balancing on a very tiny little blade. And this is years of practicing, years of doing something, just consistent repetition of every single thing. And I have to say, when I was younger, you just went out and skated. You really didn't think of the audience. You didn't think of really anything. You almost didn't even really, or I didn't think about the responsibility of what I was doing out there. I just skated. It was so easy for me. And then as I got older, the brain starts working a little bit different. Now all of a sudden we got boyfriends. Now all of a sudden we got, worried about others people's opinion, if you're going to be accepted, if you're not going to be accepted. And to be able to draw a line in between of, all right, I'm stepping on the ice now. I need to put all those emotions on the boards right now and just go out and skate. It's hard. It's hard, especially if you're a skater who skates off of emotion. And I was one of those skaters. And I literally had to learn almost to have a split personality of Nicole the skater and Nicole the person. And I think I struggled with that for a very long time because the people, they know you, and people know me from 95, and they know the skating and they know the stories and they know the ups and downs of my life. And it's like, okay, well, she's not there now. Now Nicole's normal. She lives in
Mhm.
a house. She has a son. She went through a divorce. She had a struggle to have a child. We went through my ex-husband, we went through 4 years of IVF, that we ended up going to a different country to achieve it. It's traumatizing. It's a lot. And it was like before, it was like, oh, I just had to skate, so
Mhm.
yeah, we have a lot
Mhm.
of costume changes in life. So
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what makes you so uh so personable, so down to earth because you are sharing and you are talking about those ups and downs, but how early in your career it was just skate and then as we get older and other things, other topics, other experiences, other people. They come, they go,
mhm,
and and it's hard to do to be like, hey, I'm okay with myself regardless if
right.
I'm ultra
Acceptance.
success. Yeah, accepting
Acceptance. People will always lean more towards a very human person. There are people who deal with things in all different kinds of ways, and we fall into these patterns of how we self-soothe ourselves, almost like babies do. What they figure out, either it's a pacifier or a certain blanket or toy, that's their comfort thing. And I do believe that does carry on in life with so many things. But as you get older, we need human connect.
Mhm.
When you see somebody actually feel something maybe you've been hiding, like I will never expose that this movie makes me cry, and then you see somebody just completely cry about it and open up, you're just like, it's so settling in your heart of like, you sit there and like, "God, I'm not the only one, you know." And this is the thing is that we get very deep into ourselves at times that we forget that the other person might be struggling just as much. There are people in worse situations. Some people, this is their last day on earth. You know what I mean? And I have to even consistently tell myself that like, hey, you got a roof over your head. You're doing okay. You're not amazing. You're not a star. You're not super mom. You're not any of the things, but you are trying. And you can go to sleep every night knowing I'm okay. All right. And that's, that ties in with real life issues. And I think when you do a sport, um, you really have to balance those things out. My process with doing this book, I did work with an alignment coach
Okay.
that I had to speak to because I had to really go back into my life, into chapters that I locked up and threw away the key. You know what I mean? That I
Mhm.
just like, nope, mom doesn't live there anymore. That house has been sold, demolished, whatever. And almost suppressing those feelings so much that you almost forget about them. And you can do that, which is incredible. But I had to open these haunted houses.
Mhm.
And I worked with an alignment coach. Her name is Jamie, and she works with Center of Alignment. And she really helped me to regulate those emotions and not to let them take over of what I was going through. And also the simple saying that I say to myself so many times a day is that anxiety is the future, depression is the past. Try to live in the now. And this is really heavy. And it seems like a very simple thing, but if you really think about it, it's exactly what it is. So now when my head starts going one way or the other, I say, no, 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 let's do today. Let's get through today because I cannot change my past and I cannot predict my future. I can try to maneuver it, what I want to manifest and what I want to see into helping people and living a fulfilled life. But as far as, it's called the past for a reason because it's past, honey.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. And when I had my crash and I was in the hospital in the psych ward, it was all those ego things of I could do everything myself and I don't need any help and I can Google for the answer. And but it wasn't until I voluntarily admitted myself because I was like, I don't have anything left. I don't know how else to handle this. And I look back on that, that November day, 8 years ago, and it's one of the I would say one of the worst days of my life, but then it was also one of the best days because it was when I let other people and have a team that actually cared about me, that were specialists that could diagnose and help me in ways that I couldn't, and other people and in my family, just because unless that's your calling and your background, it's hard to go through. And I mean, and my wife was like, we were married for 6 months at that time, and she's like, just get through it. Just go out and go for a walk. Just, take a deep breath yeah, and all these self-help things. Like, yeah, they're great and those help, but I had 138 different things that I had kind of my skeletons in the closet that I had to put out on paper and go, oh my gosh, I've been holding on to these things and I haven't dealt with them. And some of them are heavy issues and some of them are not. Some of them are just easy things that I just made decisions and I was like screw you, I'm gonna do this because I know what's best. And First day I was in that psych ward, I sat around and I was thinking that I was the only one that was going through what I was, and I was the only one that whatever had these issues or whatever you want to call it. But I sat around at a table, and you mentioned, th this could be our last day on Earth, our last minute, our last second. And around the table, it was like, "Hi, my name is," and then why are you here? And there
Mhm,
was probably about five people ahead of me. One had casts on both of his arms, he tried to end his life,
mhm.
and he was sharing these stories, and others were sharing theirs, and how they had suicide attempts, uh and I was like, oh my God, it almost made me feel in a way like my problems are
Yeah,
nothing.
right, right. Yeah, no, and it's so true, but this is so important that I feel that very emotional people, we're very stubborn about what we allow and what we won't allow to happen in our lives. And there's a very good positive to it. But if you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say, I need help, I need to do this, or even the fact, no, I'm too afraid, I don't want nobody to know I have this going on in my life or this kind of stuff. We are in an era now that we do have a lot of help. And it's only about how you want to handle it. What you allow to continue will continue. And because when you're done with something, you are done for sure. So we do have that power. And just even recognizing that we have that power is already your first step of reaching out. For instance, Instagram for me, if you get on the algorithm of really good quotes and really good sayings, they help me so much. There are so many people out there with so many issues and so many problems, and it can be about divorce, it can be about I went through a physically abusive relationship, and the first time, because it never happened to me, I didn't know how to handle it. I was kind of like this, he was very sorry, yada yada yada. And the second time it happened, I said, I am not going to be that person who allows this to happen anymore in my life. I didn't tell anybody for years about what took place, but I did know after that second time when he went to work, I packed my bags up and I got out of that house because I was not going to be the victim who says, well, my boyfriend beats me, but I can't leave him and yada, yada, yada. No, 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 honey, you can get out, but you have to do it. Nobody's going to come in and nobody's going to save you. It doesn't matter about the love. It doesn't matter about the money. There are plenty of places, shelters women can go to get the help they need, but it has to come from you. And you have to talk yourself into that you do have this power because food doesn't cook itself. You have to cook the food. You have to wake up in the morning. I have to rack my brain every morning. What am I going to make my son for lunch today? I have no idea. Every morning at 6:30, like, oh, this is my life now.
Mm,
But we do it. You know what I mean? So,
mm,
the power within oneself is incredible if you can figure out your pros and your cons and address them head on. And also just learn to be able to accept yourself. I'm a horrible critic on myself every single day. I don't like the way I look. I always think I'm too fat. Maybe I'm not doing enough for my son. What more can I be doing out there on the ice? I'm 48, I'm premenopausal, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm trying, I'm holding a house, I'm a single mom. There's so many things. And at the end, I say, you know what? I'm okay. I don't need all the answers today. You know what I mean? And I think
mm,
people, that instant gratification that you were speaking about, we all want that. We all love that. Why do people love to gamble? Because when they, do this and the money comes out like that, man, that's instant gratification. And people get addicted to it. So
yeah,
they tend to lean on those things. Same with the drugs, that instant high. I went through my drug thing, and at some point it just, no, wasn't cutting it anymore. And it was a harsh reality. But like you said, what happened with you, those hardest days were the best days of my life because they saved me, really. And I would not be able to talk today here with you about
mhm,
this if that didn't happen.
absolutely. We
Blessings every
gotta
day.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes left, so I want to definitely dive in to what made you want to do a book because it's very personal, especially the what I'm gathering. It's very personal. It's kind of like when I go to my therapy appointments, they're personal, and so like it, sharing things are hard enough to go through it ourselves, but then have somebody else ask, "Oh, what about this?" and tell me why you're here or whatever. So what made you want to be so authentic? It sounds like that's just your personality, but to share with the world because people across the world are going to be and have been reading or listening to your book.
hmm Well, I was actually approached by an editor named Todd Fisher, and I noticed he was always liking my videos. He was a big fan of skating. And, we got talking for several months, and, he put it out there. And I was asked before, but I didn't feel I was ready for it yet. Um, and when I was asked, I thought about it and I said, well, this is going to be hard, you know, but I did also feel there were a few certain things with the book. Doing a book before you have a child, your mind is completely different. Now that I have a son, I always have said it on millions of podcasts already that that's been my superpower is doing this book because once I had him, it changed my perspective on so many things that I didn't see before. And everything kind of made sense. So I did feel I was couldn't do it. I could do it. It was hard. It took about 6 months, and I was also with on Zoom twice a week, about an hour and a half, and with Todd Fisher and Caden, who is the writer, just incredible. They were very patient with me. They understood, and they always, especially when we got into some really heavy stuff, they're like, "Do you need some time off?" And I said, "Nope, I didn't want to." I was like, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. And my mom, who lives about 20 minutes away, she's, the old school mom with the albums, which
Mhm.
is so important because going back, there were so many things that I suppressed and timelines and where we lived and situations that happened. Those books were like the cliff notes. You know what I mean? So I knew what we were going to talk about the next day, and I would go to her house and do like a cheat sheet
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
a thing. But it was hard for her too because she lived that life with me. So she gave me her perspective also of what was going on. And then I had to sit and like think about it and, well, how did I react to that? And sometimes I didn't know. I didn't remember. You know what I mean? So it was hard not only for her to go through, she had breakdowns, I had breakdowns, big crying episodes. But I felt like it was time to really just I owed it to my fans. There was a lot of stuff out there. I did disappear for a while. I did live this whole other life. I got married. I ran away with the circus for 7 years. I had a child. I went through a really, really hard divorce. Um, and these are, I think, great things for people to connect with the human nature of the person, not just Nicole the skater. You know, uh,
Yeah.
People can relate to it of like, oh, wow, I went through that also. So it's not just, I think in sports, we also want to fit this image of these superheroes, that we are
Mhm.
these superheroes. But really at the end of the day, we go home, we hang up our cape and we
Mhm.
pay our electricity bill. So,
That's right.
it's what people got to remember also.
Yeah. So can you just let everybody know how to find your book, where to find it, and kind of give that pitch so we make sure
The
we get
pitch.
that
Pitch of the
in.
pitch. All right. I've done the pitch a few times. Let's see here. So the name of the book is Bobek the Wild One, and you can find it on Amazon. Amazon is softcover and Kindle. And if you want the beautiful, glorious, glossy book, you go on Barnes& and Noble
Mhm.
and get the hardcover.
That's awesome. Uh,
And we are in the works of working on an audiobook. I can't give you a date on that because I don't know yet,
yeah,
because a lot of people have requested for that as well, which I fully understand.
awesome. No,
Read the
that's
book
great.
one too many times now, so I don't want to read it.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
it's
we had to
so,
do edits,
bro, yeah,
yeah,
there's a
like
process to
the
it.
first two, the first one was like a total, I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm working with two different kinds of audience. You have your fans, you have your super fans who know even more than I do. Like,
Mhm,
well, you were at this competition, you wore this dress, and like, so to make those little mistakes, and poor Todd and Kaden were like, is
mhm,
it really that important? I said, yes, it is, because I will get it so bad if I get that coach taught at that rank and he never taught at that rank. I will never hear the end of it. So
mhm,
these were really specific things that we had to work on, and that was hard. Once the skating was done, then I had to relive my drug thing. I had to relive my arrest. I had to relive my marriage. I had to relive IVF. I had to relive a lot of other stuff. And that was equally as hard, but only I
mhm.
could do that. Then it was mom was like, I can't help you with that. So that
Mhm.
was so it was like kind of like these stages we went through, but working with an alignment coach, I wouldn't have been able to get through it without her, really. Yeah, her just
Awesome.
aligning me, being self-aware of what's going on, recognizing and accepting and all that good stuff. I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Great. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and we're honored and grateful for you spending time with us, and especially sharing those just raw emotion, little stories and events. And again, we want to invite everybody to head out to Amazon and Barnes and Noble and pick up a copy of Bobek, the Wild One. So,
I think there's something in there for really literally anyone. You don't have to be a super skating fanatic to just pick it up because it's a typical skating book.
yeah,
So this is why I believe the book is so incredibly not only written, but the way it flows is like wow.
yeah.
But we're
Thank
very grateful for you, by the way.
Absolutely. Thank you. And please watch, listen, subscribe, like, share, and we'll see you next time on the Voice of Voices TV show and podcast. Bye bye for now.